let's talk about the history of the movie. And there's a lot here, actually. So we return to our old friend, William Shakespeare, of course. We last met him when we did the Romeo and Juliet movie a few months ago.
Was he involved with that?
With our recording? So The Taming of the Shrew was originally written between 1590 and 1592 in the town of Padua. Catherine, the Shrew, is the eldest daughter of a noble lord, and the men of the town find her too unpleasant to want to marry, but they do fancy her younger sister Bianca. So here's what happens in the play, and obviously this is what 10 Things I Hate About You is adapting The Taming of the Shrew, and it was part of a slew of 90s literary adaptations for teen movies.
Like which is Othello.
Othello, yes. Clueless was an adaptation of Emma by Jane Austen, and even She's All That was sort of an adaptation of Pygmalion / My Fair Lady. So yeah.
I was going to say that.
The father will not consent to the marriage for Bianca until Catherine is married first. Petruchio arrives in town, and then the Joseph Gordon-Levitt and David Krumholtz characters, they recruit him to woo Katharina. Whenever she insults him, he pretends she's actually complimented him. You stink like shit. Why, thank you, my lady. So they get married as a result, and they move away to Verona, whereupon Petruchio, in order to break her, denies her food and clothing and locks her in the house. And he tells her everything she says is wrong, and he forces her to agree with everything he says, even when everything he says is absurd and incorrect, like the moon is made of cheese. She has to agree with it. Then they return to Padua for the wedding of her sister, as well as one other couple, and then there's a debate among the three grooms about who has the most obedient wife. So they have a contest. Whose wife will come out first if we call them? Well, Catherine comes first, and then she goes to fetch the other two wives, and then she looks at the audience and gives a monologue about how important it is for women to listen to their husbands.
Shit.
And that's the play.
Wow, William.
Yeah.
You got some stuff going on with you.
I think it's one of his lesser regarded works, but
such a good title.
Yes.
And I give the movie props for not doing all of that.
Well,
you picked the right parts, movie.
Because it's so obviously shitty and misogynistic. I think it's people want to do a take on it because it's calling for it. And this movie does a nice job of subverting the idea that she needs to change. She doesn't need to change, and she doesn't change.
And in fact, gets to go to Sarah Lawrence, which is the most feminist thing they could have picked for her to do in the 90s.
Right. All right. So, 2024, there was a history. There's a lot of oral histories of this movie out there on the internet. It's a very beloved movie.
A lot of oral.
A lot of oral going on, but they all talk to the same people. All of the creators of this movie are very, very available, and they all say much the same thing.
Can we get them on the podcast?
Maybe.
Okay.
All right. So Kirsten Smith and Karen McCullah are the two writers of the film, and they generated
two women writers.
Fuck
yes. Take that, Shakespeare.
Kirsten Smith said, quote, "For me and Karen, everything started after seeing the movie Clueless by Amy Heckerling. She had adapted Jane Austen's Emma into an iconic teen film. We were really big fans of teen movies, and we really wanted to write one. So we thought we should try to find a classic play or myth or fairy tale or fable and turn it into a contemporary high school movie. We started researching. We went through libraries and bookstores. This was before Google, so we did all of this research and tried to find a lot of different ideas. Finally, a friend suggested Taming of the Shrew, and it instantly clicked. The more we read the play, the more it felt like a perfect adaptation and something that had all the great Shakespearean turns and twists, but also could be modernized in a really cool feminist way," end quote.
Yeah. Is it a sign of how old we are, or just a coincidence that both of these movies have a tragic dead actor in them? Is it just that the older we get, the more this will be true of the movies we love? But
what's the other movie we're talking about?
Clueless. We're looking right at it. Okay. She's dead.
Yeah.
But they both died young. I mean,
they both died young, but I do think that, yes, as we age, we'll find more and more people dying.
Dead people in this movie.
I don't know which one to mention first, but since you just talked about the co-writers, the screenwriters, I guess I'll mention that. So, fun fact, my research, it's amazing how well this movie succeeds despite having so many firsts. It's their first screenplay that they wrote ever, those two writers. The director, it's his first movie ever. Heath Ledger's first American movie. Julia Stiles is 17. All these people are up and coming, and it's amazing that this movie is so good when it's the writer's first screenplay.
Somebody in the mix had amazing instincts, and then, like they said, the the story just clicked and gel. I mean, there's somebody in the middle of this that's just like got a nose for what the story is.
Well, yeah, but I also think that's part of the appeal. Like, there's always like, you can see a band in concert when they're like at a certain point early in their career where you're like, this is the most exciting point to catch them because this is like at the beginning of them figuring it out.
Right, and they've got so many ingredients to cook with that you've never seen because you've never seen anything they can do.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're already good and they don't need a running start, you're just going to see the best of them.
Right. So all these people who will go on to do a lot of stuff, to see them right here and it all gelling is so exciting to see. And yeah, I think that with the director, and I'll talk about him in a minute, I can feel the first time filmmaker in the movie. Because if you like, I always notice first time when it's somebody's first time directing, they always do like way too many cool camera
too many
tricks.
little things. Yep.
And you're like, that was so unnecessary. Like, you did that to show me that you could, but that probably cost you $500,000 and there was no need
You
for
did
it.
not need to be on the roof of that. You didn't need a helicopter.
I love that. I love
it too. It feels very Empire Records or something. I don't know.
Yes, that was so cool.
It is
No, I
very
love
cool,
that.
but I'm scared for how they get down.
And apparently they did that without a permit and they largely shouldn't have done it. But it's not that. I like that. And I like that it adds like some magical realism to the movie.
Yeah.
It's more like there's like a tracking shot of their neighborhood that goes on and then swoops into their house. And it's like, that's way too fancy for this movie.
No, but you know what? It works so
90s.
well because that part actually works very well because of the song that's playing at the moment. Okay. So it starts out, sunshine on my window makes me happy. And then it cuts into the window where Kat is and it changes to the hard rock part. Okay. And it's supposed to show the juxtaposition between the two sisters.
Yeah.
That's what I think. It's
buy
going
that.
into the house and it's giving you an idea of what the house is like inside.
But also
I
put
get the
to the
idea.
credits. The credits are very 90s and doing too much, but it's fun.
Super 90s. Oh,
Very
yeah.
90s.
So 90s, those credits.
Gil Junger is the director of this movie. Who is this guy? Well, again, this is his first film as a director. I think he has a good touch with some of the jokes, especially visual gags. But I think that, regarding the script, I don't know that I think this is a great script.
No.
I think that Kat is a really good character on paper, but I think she is given such groaning one-liners that she has to say.
Fucking bull.
And I can just I could feel the Kevin Williamson from Scream or the Joss Whedon that they're trying to go to, like the super clever things that always they just clang here. That the actors are so good that they overcome it.
Exactly.
And I feel like there's so many scenes where like Julia Stiles like throws a book at Heath Ledger and she's like, try this on, lame brain, and then he looks befuddled and then the scene just
bullshit.
cuts.
Bullshit. Her lines are more often than not clever and witty.
No, but they're coded that way. They're supposed to be. The vocabulary is overly complicated. She's too snide when she says it. Like there's just
the defense.
No, I gave you the look at me one. I'm not going to give you anything else.
The defense for her is that she is herself putting on an act.
That's true. But that is what it feels like, and it's not working. You're pissing off your teachers. You're pissing off but I know she's also trying to push everyone away. I just feel like
super clever. Again, Kevin Williamson style dialogue was very in vogue at the time, and it's like you gotta have that if you have a teen movie,
right? It's like it was like Reality Bites or like Singles or something, right? Like it's just like everyone's got way too big of a vocabulary if they're deep.
Yeah,
and she's blonde. She's got to overcome the blondness. Like she's emo without looking it. So she's not an artist either, but she is a musician. I'm just saying, like she's got to have something. She's got to be into books and feminist literature. They need something to emo her up.
If I had to say what's most wrong with this movie, if there's one thing that I would say is wrong, is that it should be 2 hours long, and they should spend a little more time developing. No, not just because I love it and I want it to be longer, but they didn't develop some of the characters enough. The ending resolution was pretty abrupt. Like the prom thing happens literally 10 minutes before the movie ends, and
I think the biggest failing is that Patrick Heath Ledger's character there's so little on paper about him. Heath Ledger is so great that you forgive it, but you're like, we don't know shit about this guy.
I know more about the fucking guy in Grease too.
And like they're trying to like fill it in. They're like, oh, his grandpa's house ate SpaghettiOs, but it's like, does he have friends? What does he care about? What is he like? Why does he need this money? What is he? I don't know.
I agree. But I think it fuck, what was I gonna say? I'm sorry, I interrupted Lacey and I forgot. I was so scared she was gonna yell at me. I think they could have definitely given us more details about his life, but I think they show us enough. Like, I mean, the
I'm
classic rules
satisfied.
the classic rules show don't tell, and so they start with introducing him with a bunch of rumors and hearsay so they can subvert the audience's expectations later on when it turns out he's actually a really nice guy. Like, the only things we distinctly see him do that might be considered bad is smoke cigarettes and drink a beer in the bar.
Yeah, he screws a hole through the fucking French book. Not cool, man. That was a rental.
Probably not cool, no. But
it's his armor. It's his armor.
But when he goes to the party, he's like, you find out he's a really great guy. Like, the advice he gives to Cameron is genuine. You know, and he really cares for Julia Stiles.
Well, okay, then that seems way too abrupt.
And doesn't take advantage of her when she's drunk.
Yes, which is such a nice
also,
touch.
she threw up, so yuck.
No, but he didn't kiss her because...
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I completely agree. I'm kidding.
Like, I agree they could have given more detail, but I think they did give us enough for us to enjoy it. Like I said, I like that they set him up one way and then show him being different. I wish they had shown more.
I wish we were grounded as much in him as we are in Catherine. The other thing is, I think that it's a little strange. This movie is structured very weirdly, where for the first like 45 minutes or so, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's the main character, and then he hands the movie off, kind of disappears, and then I think it becomes a really, really special movie. But it's almost like, I wish we didn't even need that first part of the movie then. But that's like the Shakespeare comedies. They're always like, there's two couples. There's the boring couple and the awesome couple. And you're like, why can't we just spend all our time with the awesome couple? But that's just like the nature of the thing.
Because the boring couple gets the best sidekick. And then the awesome couple, no sidekick at all. We need some kicking around.
Do you think, would you have been more satisfied if they had made two separate movies and one of them was about Cameron and Bianca and the other one was about Heath Ledger?
You know the answer to that. One's on Hallmark.
I don't care about Cameron and Bianca.
You need, I don't know. I think you need the dull to really, whatever it works. I just think it's poorly. The literal lines on the page are bad.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But at least them getting together does work. I think all the hookups in the movie work. The three hookups. Dave Grimholtz and his Shakespeare girl totally works.
Mandela.
Obviously, Heath Ledger. Oh, is that? Yeah. Her name's Mandela, right? She says it once in the at the prom, and
it's just such a weird name that we're like, okay.
And she keeps misremembering things. She's like, it used to be the Berenstein Bears. Let's
spending time in jail.
All right, Gil Junger. Who is this guy? Like, this guy's filmography is so bizarre. So this was his first movie. After this, he directs the Martin Lawrence film Black Knight, and then he directs like a couple of a Jennifer Love Hewitt movie called If Only, and then mostly like does Hallmark movies and TV. His most recent theatrical film was called Think Like a Dog, starring Josh Duhamel and Megan Fox.
No, thank you.
He did direct a sequel to 10 Things I Hate About You called 10 Things I Hate About Life that during production was canceled, and we'll get a little more into that. But here's what he said about,
I wish you hadn't told me that.
You know what? We don't need to hear this.
I wish you hadn't told me that.
That
makes me sad that could have existed.
All right, Julia Stiles was 17 years old during production of the movie. She's 5'8". Her first leading role was in an independent horror movie called Wicked, but then this was her first mainstream studio movie. Kirsten Smith, one of the writers of the movie, said, quote, "We both love a really strong-willed feminist leading character. We just really wanted her to be very defiant and didn't care what people thought about her. We wanted for her to be punk rock." End quote. Do we think she's punk rock?
They fucking tried. She's bougie punk rock. I mean, as punk rock as someone can be that privileged and rich.
I would say she's as punk rock as somebody who doesn't know what punk rock writing the movie thinks she can be. Does that make sense?
Yes, I get what you're saying. I think it's important that the teacher calls her out very early on in the movie.
Yes, I do think that's doing a lot of work.
I wish I could be. I wish I could be him so bad. Pipe down, Chachi. Unless you kick the crap out of your dumb butt, I don't want to hear about it. That's the best. He just drops gems.
Julia Stiles, yes. She said, they have this 2019 quote from her, quote, "Cat was the first role I had read for a young woman that was so refreshingly feisty. I loved the script, especially because it had a healthy bite to it. For a romantic comedy to have a cynical sense of humor, but also be truly romantic, stood out at the time." End quote. I think that's it.
That's perfect.
It is a really romantic movie, and it has a cynical sense of humor.
And I fucking love Save the Last Dance. What's my problem?
This
Julia Stiles.
Is this a George Clooney thing? You like her when you watch her?
Yeah. but my memory of her is fuck you, Julia. But but she's got to have a dead or missing mother because Save the Last Dance, mommy's dead.
Oh my God, no. Can you believe I haven't seen Save the Last Dance?
There's a lot of dancing, and you know how I feel about dancing.
Like, okay, so
and I love a guy thing. I love it.
She got a little bit of a movie star push after this, and it didn't quite work out.
Right.
Save the Last Dance, a guy thing, Mona Lisa Smile. And she's also in most of the Bourne movies, but she kind of movie career stalls out. She goes to TV. I think the most recent prominent movie role she had was in the movie Hustlers, the Jennifer Lopez strippers movie. She plays the reporter, but she's super successful on TV and stuff. She's doing great. Heath Ledger.
Wait, before you go on,
yes.
My notes on Julia Stiles or the character Cat. So other people considered were Eliza Dushku and Katie Holmes, and the role was actually offered to Kate Hudson. And then Goldie Hawn read the script and said it was stupid. And
Goldie.
See,
yes, no.
Goldie agrees with me. Not a great script.
Hey, she saved us though.
But maybe she knew that Kate Hudson couldn't make it what it needed. She's like, you know what? You're too weak, daughter. Go do Almost Famous and rock everyone's world.
Yeah. So I can't imagine anybody but Julia Stiles.
No.
Yeah, no. You need someone that can dance.
Heath Ledger was 21 years old at time of production, 6'1", and he had worked in Australian TV. He's Australian. He grew up in Australia.
I know. Yeah.
Worked steadily in Australian television.
He's a Scooty Doo.
In the 1990s, he's a bikie.
He's a Squiddo.
He's one of those. He's a Sproggo.
That's it.
So, 10 Things was his first movie, American Hollywood movie, I should say. Here's what the director said about him.
He's
quote,
beautiful.
I realize I'm reading a lot of quotes, but there's just so many. Quote, Heath walked in and I thought to myself, if this guy can read, I'm going to cast him. There was an energy to him, a sexuality that was palpable. When Heath was done, literally with the first page, I said, okay, you can put down the script. You're doing great. I want to do a little improv with you. I just wanted to see how fast his mind would adapt comedically. After 35 seconds, I said, okay, fantastic. But I could tell he was nervous that he blew it because the audition was so quick. And I said, no, you're a very talented guy and I really appreciate you coming in. The instant the door closed, I turned to the women in the room and said, ladies, I have never wanted to sleep with a man, but if I had to sleep with a man, that would be the man. Please cast him immediately.
Aww.
End quote.
No, that was great. That's something I would say. If I had to sleep with a man, it'd be Heath Ledger.
Okay. Yeah. So this was a breakout role for him. And so Hollywood's like, this is the guy of the next generation. He's handsome and a serious actor, but also movie star, good looks and charisma. So they try first. He has some sort of prestige supporting roles like The Patriot and Monsters Ball.
He's in Monsters Ball. I haven't seen that.
He's Billy Bob Thornton's son and he kills himself. It's very sad.
This is why I didn't see it again.
Yes.
Okay.
They attempt to put him as a star in movies like A Knight's Tale, The Four Feathers, The Order. It's all unsuccessful. The breakthrough comes with Brokeback Mountain, 2005, gets the Oscar nomination. I think he should have won, but it was like he's 25 years old at the time. Like he's
got a whole life ahead of him.
I know. That's what sucks. But like Brokeback Mountain is just an incredibly great movie, and I think it's like one of the great performances of the era. His performance in that movie, though I did realize he has to play like either cowboys or jokers to hide his Australian accent.
That makes sense.
But yeah, he's the guy for the next generation. And like he says to Batman at the end of The Dark Knight, you and I are going to do this forever. But obviously he then died of a drug overdose. And one of the most tragic losses. We should still be watching Heath Ledger in movies today.
Do we know the drug? I'm sorry if that's
prescription. It was prescription drugs he was abusing. And I mean, I remember when this happened, it was like one of the most shocking deaths. And this was before The Dark Knight, but you were already hearing like this performance is going to change everything.
I remember it felt like The Crow that way because I feel like because of how it happened, you knew this person was dead before you watched the movie. Mm-hmm. And it just made it all more everything.
I remember I went to see The Dark Knight in theaters with you, Patrick, but I don't remember, like, how do you feel about...
You did?
Yeah. About the Dark...
He still has his ticket stuff.
about that movie or just that performance.
I think it's one of the, and I'm not kidding, no hyperbole, I think it's one of the most astonishing performances I've ever seen. I watch it and I can't, I mean, I guess part of it's the makeup, but I just can't see Heath Ledger. I can't hear him. I can't see him. I can't imagine that's Heath Ledger. And then you tell me that's fucking Heath Ledger. Like, dude, how is that? It's just the most transformative performance. It's brilliant in every way. He completely deserved the Oscar, and he is so fucking good.
That's true. It does. I could never see Heath Ledger until I watched this movie, and I was like, wait a minute, that's the Joker.
Yeah, I think he's got the
he does a bunch
right
of
here.
Joker smiles.
No, it's just his smile. He just has a very big. It's the most flashy thing on his head.
Yeah, and his hair is Joker hair in 10 Things I Hate About You. I was certain there was a he gets a haircut in the movie to be more acceptable.
No, he's not. No, he's already what she needs.
Yeah.
Just the movie poster. This shot that they have of them is just like.
I know, I love it.
It's such it shows you what's special about this movie. It's them. It's that it's serious. I don't know. It just hurts my heart to look at it in a good way.
Yes, I totally agree. And the poster is just the two of them. Their two names are above the title.
Yep.
Not in this poster, but usually they are. But it must be weird to see all this marketing and then watch the movie and you're like, for 45 minutes, like this seems like an ensemble or like the Joseph Gordon-Levitt story. When is it going to turn into the movie from the poster? But eventually it does. So what were you going to say, Patrick? Who else was up for the role?
I'm glad you asked, Matt.
Segue, man.
There are two actors that were considered, and one of them is really awesome and could have made it work, maybe. I mean, I can't imagine anybody but Heath Ledger doing this. But
who is
one
it,
that's awesome and one that sucks. And the one that's awesome is Josh Hartnett, who
I love Josh Hartnett.
I just recently discovered is an amazing actor.
Right. I think we're all just now discovering it. I just found him to be like, just make my pants wet.
Idea.
There has been there's quietly been a cult of Hartnett among like film people for a long time. They're like, that guy is super underrated. He was never given a fair shot. He should have.
Yeah, because he was fuckboy.
His movies suck. Well,
I don't know what it came from because it's like he was the lead in Black Hawk Down, but like I don't know what they took that from. But now obviously
he was in too many teen movies with a lot of unserious people, and I definitely think he got typecasted. I don't think people remember he's really good at acting.
I love The Faculty, and I forget that he's even one of the people in it.
Well, and was it 40 Days and 40 Nights? I remember that making me super horny, and before I got horny a lot.
Oh, we should watch that sometime. No reason.
That's hot.
I love not having sex.
No, they have this like tantric like tickling session, and I'm like, oh my underparts.
Wow, I haven't seen Lacey get this excited about fiction since she talked about Twilight.
Okay, that makes me hot too.
Who else was up for the role?
So he would have totally ruined the movie, and thank God it didn't happen. But Ashton Kutcher.
God, he would have ruined it. Oh, Matt,
he would have ruined every second.
You're so right. He could never have done this.
No, I'm very anti-Kutch on this podcast. I've been told that's incorrect, but
I think Kutch is good in the right roles. I like him.
He's handsome.
When we did the Butterfly Effect, we learned that Josh Hartnett was also up for that role, and it's like, oh, okay, that would have made it a much better movie.
But that's because they looked the same back then. They looked like
they really did look a lot alike.
And we say this all the time, but when we watch Dude, Where's My Car? Like,
I know it's the guy with three names.
I was a kid and I watched this movie, I assumed these two guys were the same. Now as an adult, I realize one of you is a mega talented, funny guy, and one of you is a hack.
And one of you is Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the movie is released on March 31st, 1999. That's the same day a certain other movie got released. Who can name that movie?
You know, it's not me.
Patrick?
Is it The Matrix?
It's The Matrix.
Dang. Oh, stealing thunder.
Which is like this.
Couldn't they have had a Barbenheimer moment?
I know.
Oh, 10 things I hate about The Matrix.
I put on my notes that it opened second in the box office opening weekend behind The Matrix.
Yes, with $8 million.
10 things I hate about The Matrix. It could have had a Barbenheimer.
10 things I hate about The Matrix. Yes.
There's at least 10.
Yes, the internet just wasn't ready.
They weren't ready. They didn't know.
And every oral history I've read, the producers are like, God damn it. Why?
You can't
if we
know.
Could have just,
you can't know. Wait a week.
Because The Matrix was a fucking phenomenon.
Yeah.
It was everything. It was all anybody was talking about. And this movie did 10 Things I Hate About You went on a run, became a nice little hit, $38 million on a $13 million budget.
Wow.
And I'm sure it's made hundreds of millions of dollars on cable and airplanes and home video.
Do you think
and
there's
stuff.
like a 10 Things I Hate About You gymnasium at that school, like because of the money that they paid?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
I was
just
dedicated
a plaque,
to Julia
yes.
Stiles, this bathroom stall.
There should be.
I think so.
I hope so.
I
I
hope
would
they
think
sell
there is.
tours of the roof.
That is a high school I would like to visit, but I
God,
mean, you know.
Did you notice that? I mean, there's hardly any scenes where they didn't find a way to get the water in. There's water in the background of like their home and the school and every place that they go. And I want to go to there.
It's there. It's a special effect. You might as well film it. You might
It's
as well
beautiful.
get it while you
But
can.
you just know that movie, I mean, that town is not nearly as majestic half the year. Bitch is cold.
Well, it's Washington. I mean,
know,
it's
it's
Seattle, Tacoma area. So
Washington.
yeah, fuck that place.
Ugh.
Before you move on from the box office, first I want to say box office doesn't mean shit. The Wild Wild West made $222 million. I don't
Patrick,
understand. It's universally hated.
The movie is a beautiful baby. And how dare you?
Not universally hated, it would seem.
I universally like it.
I mean, yes, it did have an 8% on Metacritic score, so I guess
I was
Lacey,
the
Lacey has a
8%.
lot of clout on Metacritic.
Oh, like, I love Kevin Kline, and I
love Kevin
liked Will
Kline.
Smith back then. So it had the materials, it just didn't come together.
I don't like the way you just said that.
And then the other thing is, 10 Things made 53 million worldwide. And
I just like that Patrick is on a first name basis with this movie. I love it. I love that it's 10 things.
10 things.
Oh, well, I'm not gonna say the whole
my
thing every
thingy's
time.
doing a thingy. Oh, I touched it. We're good.
This only made 53 million, while as I said, much shittier version of the movie She's All That made 103 million. So
It just came. It just hit at the right time. That has to be the Matrix effect.
No, it was
If
the stars.
Well, I
It
mean,
was Pretty Friends was on top of the world at the time,
sure.
and Rachel Lee Cook was probably a big deal too. I don't know.
Because of that movie. I will say this. I think Julia Stiles is great. Of the 4 performances across these 2 movies, I think Rachel Lee Cook's is my favorite performance.
God,
I think she's really special in that movie. I do ultimately like 10 Things I Hate About You more, but She's All That was set up for me to think this is a shitty movie, and I thought it's a really fun, lovely kind of little movie. And it's so many similar plot things happen in that movie, but you're like, these are such different takes on the material. They look and feel so different. That's also a Miramax movie. It has this faux like indie Sundance filter on it. So it
She's All
feels
That?
like, so it feels like you're watching.
But it's the ultimate girl with glasses shakes her hair.
It's not
But
though.
Here's
not.
my biggest problem with that movie, though, is that so in my notes I wrote down that 10 things. There's 2 things that a lot of movies try and fail at. One is trying to be a modern version of a classic, whether that's classic literature or classic movies. Remakes suck. Trying to be a modern version of things sucks. So this really did source material justice, unlike most things. And the other thing was that there's a million movies that do the now very trite trope of someone dates someone for money or a bet or whatever reason, and then they fall in love,
During
and
this
a
time,
lot
yes.
of times. Yeah. And a lot of times it doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't make sense, at the end. Like that's how I felt with She's All That. And maybe I need to watch it again, but I felt like they didn't have any deep moments. They didn't have a lot in common. It's like, yeah, Freddie Prinze turns out he's actually a nice guy deep down, and she could probably teach him a lot, and maybe they can be friends, but it didn't feel right when they got together at the end.
No.
What's great about 10 Things I Hate About You is that it is immediate. Because it's such a flimsy thing. It is just $50. It starts at $20. And I'm like, he's going to say yes to $20?
Yeah.
What the fuck? And it's like, Heath Ledger likes her almost immediately. And it's like the 2 have been at a really big school, have been in their mean person bubble because it's protecting them. And as soon as they see each other, it's just, they both kind of soften. And I mean, and it's so, if I had to believe that someone would actually do anything for a bet that is like this, that's how it would be. Either it would perfectly be like, okay, no, I'm kind of interested in this for more than just the money, or fuck, this is I don't need $50. Those are the 2 ways it'll go, and I think it just felt really real. Where She's All That, it's a bit much.
I think it's a bit
you
much.
agree? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No,
I agree.
Lacey's on your
I thought you were
side.
going the opposite way.
No.
Lacey's on your side, but again, I watched the movie this morning. I think
need
it's
to see it.
contrived in both movies, but it's like, I know what I'm watching. I have to just accept. Okay, you're getting paid to take her out. Paul Walker made a bet with you, and now you have to do it. But She's All That, he also likes her immediately.
Yeah.
And you realize he is himself putting on a con.
Yeah,
He is
you're
actually.
right.
he's a jock, but he's also really smart. He's like,
He's from the Fablemans.
He tells her, she's like, what, you want me to tutor you? And he's like, I have the third highest GPA in the class. And he lies to her and says that he's into art. So he goes to a performance art show and she calls him out and she's like, hey, does Freddie Prinze want to come on stage and do a number? And he has to go. So he does this hacky sack thing and it's unbelievable. It's so funny. And you can see that it is awakened in him. Like, wait a minute, I think I love art. And I thought that her taking the glasses off thing would be ridiculous, but it's like she already knew she was hot. She just like, I wear glasses because it's practical.
I haven't seen it in 20
It's
years.
like it's like Clark Kent with the glasses, you know, you don't know he's Superman.
You know what the problem with movies like Scary Movie and Not Another Teen Movie is they've completely poisoned the well. Those things are so much more memorable that I forget. No, there's a reason why those movies were popular and good and they didn't feel like it just that because it's a trope and because it's been made fun of, those can stick a little bit.
Yeah.
I changed my mind. I also don't like that mean girl tells her she should kill herself.
And she's all that?
That's mean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. They turned 10 Things I Hate About You into an ABC Family show
Tell
for
them
one
to
season.
stop it.
Gil Junger,
starring Larry Miller.
Larry Miller reprised his role. Gil Junger directed the pilot and 7 additional episodes. It was canceled after one season. And then
Fuck is Larry Miller?
the dad.
I love Larry Miller so much.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only reason I would watch the show. I haven't seen it yet, but I did.
10 Things I Hate About Life, starring Evan Rachel Wood and a man who I don't remember. This is a loose sequel. I think it's like the like what men want to what women want.
Oh yeah,
but it's the same director and same producer. It's Gil Junger. But this movie got there was production troubles. The financing, apparently they lost the financing mid-production, and so the production had to stop. And then Evan Rachel Wood had to deliver a baby, and then they blamed her on the movie never getting started up again. Anyway, this is one of the famous movies that they have footage of that they just abandoned.
Oh God.
So maybe release the cut. Release the 10 Things I Hate About Life cut.
Is it like
Mr.
the original
President.
13 Reasons? Fucking.
I will give you the very little money I have.
The very little money.
Whoever's listening,
Mr. Cotta. That's the teacher.
You can have one of my monopolies. No, I take that back.
Whoever does it will get my vote. You hear me?
Oh.
Release the 10 reasons.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, from the shit from
Look at her.
Westworld and
I've never seen it.
And 13 and Across the Universe and
I've never seen any of these fucking movies.
All
I'm
right.
looking at I've never seen any of these.
All right.
Can you believe that was just the history part?
Lacey's turning into a pumpkin.